What's up, guys? Xerneas is the strongest Pokemon in competitive singles right now. And by that, I mean that UBERS is the most inclusive tier that is managed for the sake of competitive play, uh, as opposed to anything goes, for example. And Xerneas is without a doubt the most threatening sweeper in the tier. It is the strongest, and it is one of the easiest to use. And one of the things that makes it so powerful is that it is not easily checked with speed, unlike a lot of other sweepers. So, for example, you take Zekrom, he's still slower than Scarf Kyrex and takes a lot of damage. Uh, and things like that. He's still slower than a Scarf Dimanitan, whereas Xerneas at +2 is only slower than Kyrex. However, Kyrex can only do about 30 to 40% because after a Geomancy, you're boosting your your special defense, which means they have to use Psyshock, which only does, like I said, about 30 to 40%, which is also why besides taking Sunsteel Strikes from Necrozma and Sucker Punches and Priority, is another reason to invest in your defense on Xerneas. So, unlike pretty much everything else, it's really hard to deal with Xerneas with just speed alone, which is why the only reliable or the most reliable way to deal with it is having a defensive check. Because you just, like I said, you just can't deal with it with speed unless you have a Ditto, which is one of the merits of using Ditto over something like Kyrex is that it can deal more damage to Xerneas and check it from full HP, and does not get KO'd necessarily if the Ditto has full HP. But it's like one of the only Pokemon that you have to have a defensive answer to deal with. Same thing with Calyrex as well. It's just that Calyrex gets walled a little bit harder, and it doesn't have a lot of switch-ins besides Yveltal, but can be revenge killed with priority very easily with Sucker Punch, with Shadow Sneak. So that's why I'd say that Xerneas is better in that respect because it is not easily revenge killed with priority or speed, and so it's very powerful. And so one of the reasons that Dusting Necrozma is so common is because it is the one thing standing in the way of a lot of Xerneas sweeps. Because without it, if I get rocks up, then the opponent's team is very vulnerable to Xerneas. And so I'm going to demonstrate that here with this replay. So looking at my team here, I have a lot of stuff. I have 6 Pokemon, he has 6 Pokemon. But when you disrespect or ignore the threat of Xerneas, then this is the kind of thing that happens. So let me switch sides. So he has basically his Necrozma standing in the way of my Xerneas. And potentially, like, if his Kyrex is Sash, that would... that doesn't really make a difference because Scarf does the same thing, and they're still both going to do about 30-40%. So his Duskmane Necrozma is the thing standing in my way from sweeping his team with Xerneas. So we'll see what happens, because this is a great demonstration of the power of Xerneas and why it demands your respect and attention when you're building teams and in your play. So, all right, he's leading Necrozma, probably assuming I'm going to go Cloister or something. So he could switch out here, but let's see what happens when he doesn't. He takes like 80%. Probably inclined to stay in because he doesn't have an Eternatus, which, okay, but he still doesn't, I guess, realize the threat of Xerneas here. So I immediately think, okay, well, now I can sweep him as soon as I get my Xerneas up, which is fair enough. So what am I going to do? So he switches his Yveltal. So I'm thinking I need to get my Xerneas in as soon as possible and find that opportunity. And so watch what happens. So you think, why would I switch my Kyrex into a Yveltal? Which doesn't make sense. So for one thing, I'm Sash. Okay. Now, where am I going from here that's going to allow me to sweep? Well, Xerneas can set up on Yveltal, and that's what I'm going to try and do here. So I'm going to use an Encore, which is going to force him into knockoff. So now he's forced into knockoff. And yes, he'll knock off my Power Herb, but 2 knockoffs aren't going to do a lot of damage, so I'm still going to set up. So he knocks off, I use Geomancy, he can't top me, he can't do anything. Or he switches out, and I use Geomancy anyway, and because his Necrozma is checked, his team is very likely to get swept here. So I go for the Geomancy. I happen to be faster, but that doesn't even matter. So he's gonna get some chip, and then just watch what happens. Right? He's got 6 Pokemon right now, but I'm totally just ignoring that because I recognize the huge vulnerability in his team now. Take some priority there. So he's gone. Scarf, is it a Scarf Calyrex? I don't know. Yeah, it is. Scarf Calyrex, 30%, gone. Kyogre, one-shotted by Thunder, so gone. Scarf Dracovish, because typically these teams with Kyogre and Dracovish have a Scarf Dracovish. Not fast enough. Gone. And then, obviously, his Necrozma is already dead. So yeah, I thought this was a great demonstration of the power of Xerneas and why it's used and how it can take advantage of a broken team and the lack of a good check. So yeah, anyway guys, thanks for watching, and see you next time.